What problem do you solve? This is the first question that we need to answer, because everybody that you're going to recruit, both staff and patients, needs to fit within the vision of this. And just to be clear for all of you, if you want any of these guys to still be working in your company in the next 3 years, your vision for what the company can do needs to be big enough to fit each of their visions for what they want to do inside of it. Understand? Like if you were like, hey, we're only going to treat geriatrics, we're changing our thing, and we're going to be the best geriatric clinic in the world, they might be like, that's cool.
I'm out.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Right, so you shouldn't answer this question for them, with all due respect, guys, because you're the one who's on the bills. They should have an influence on what the answer to this is, but at the end of the day, this has to be the answer that you can live with for a long time. So what problem do you guys think you solve?
I mean, I think like biggest picture that like we could go is like we help people learn how to live a sustainable, active lifestyle.
Okay, so we help people, we teach sustainable, active living, yeah? Okay. Ask yourself this. If all of your current patients saw an ad that says, come to Reload, we teach sustainable active living, would they come? Great. You guys are allowed to speak too, by the way.
Get back to doing what you love. But that's like...
That's a tagline.
We help people overcome pain to do the things they love.
Okay. How is that different than every other physical therapy clinic?
Teach you how to train.
Okay. So, Reload, we teach people how to train.
Teach you how to train yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say like the problem I'm trying to always solve is just empower people through strength. Like just not be fucking weak.
Do you guys resonate with that or no?
Yeah.
That's a no from Ryan. He's like, yeah, we do that, but
I mean, I think we do myth busting in that. One of the things what we were talking about on the ride over here is like, we're always searching, on every single first visit, we're always trying to give people this one moment where they realize that they can do something they didn't think they could do. This is a quote from one of our clients yesterday where he said,
it's great.
one of the reasons why we became so highly recommended is people feel like they can do things they didn't realize they could do before.
Okay, now we're getting somewhere. So, how would you describe the opposite of that as a problem?
People who set limitations on themselves.
So, the problem you solve is, I feel like you guys are right there.
I think the problem we solve is people feel capable again. Everyone comes to us, they always feel like they can't do shit anymore. And we're the first person to tell them you could step to do this.
Okay. So, we help people who how about this? I'll write it up. You guys help me edit it. Okay? Based on what you're telling me, right? I'm not making this up. I'm also reading your shirt because you have a pretty good tagline. So, we help people learn how to live lives that sound like we're on the right track? Can you see it? It says we help people learn how to live lives beyond the limits they set for themselves. That sound about right?
Yeah.
So you guys should refine this, right? We don't need to spend the whole day just coming up with this. But the problem that leads to this is that people have been told they need to limit the way that their lives work. They've been told they need to do less. They've been told they need to bubble wrap themselves. They've been told that they need to avoid lifting weights above 55 pounds. They've been told that they should go on walks that are no longer than a mile in either direction so they can always crawl home if need be. Right? That's the problem.
Correct.
So now, if everything that you guys put out, all of your marketing, all of your content, all of your t-shirts, right? If they all speak to move without limits, all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, great. This works now. Have you been told that you're not allowed to lift weights more than 55 pounds? That sounds like a limit that you placed on yourself. We can help you live beyond that. Follow me?
Yeah, that's good.
Hunter, you good with that? Okay. So you'll refine it, but this is the idea. Okay? What you want to be able to do is write up a few different examples of what things are hearing, what people are hearing, what people are saying when they come into your clinic. Why did you come here? I had this issue, someone told me this. It's often going to lead to someone told me this and I trusted them, they were an authority. That sucks. Now, the next question is, through what, process, Jesus, what's wrong with me today?
Can you raise that? No. Raise the thing.
Through what process do you solve it? So now, think about this, right? If I say to you, hey, I get it, but like, I already go to a physical therapist and they're doing all this stuff and like, it's really good, like they assess me and then they put me on the table, they do some strengthening, some stretching, they ask me questions, they know my mom's name, my dog's name. You're like, that's awesome. Do you feel better? Well, no. Okay. What you want to be able to do is you need to overcome for them this dissonance gap where they don't understand or believe that there is a different way that might be more effective. And they don't want to abandon their current relationship to come to you to find out. Does that make sense? Yep. So what you need to be able to do is very clearly explain to them, maybe it would help you if I explained how we do this. And they'd be like, yeah, that would be great. I'll hear if it's different than what's currently happening, right? So I believe it would be extremely valuable for you guys to create a named process. The proprietary reload system. Hey, Dad?
Yep.
That's a camera.
Oh, my bad.
It's all good. You're welcome to be over there. I just please be careful that you're not in the camera shot. Okay. All right, so through what process do you solve it? Call it something. Like, well, for today's purposes, we'll call it the reload process. But it shouldn't be called that. It shouldn't be called that either. Right?
Starts confessing shit.
Yeah. The idea of this is that it's like through our proprietary 4-step reload system, whatever, like our limitless system. There you go. Through the limitless system, whatever. So now, okay, well, that's the unique process, right? We are able to take people from 2. So what that means is, in the reload process, everybody comes in with the following types of problems. By the time it's over, they're able to do this. You guys understand? It's pointing out, we understand where you are. We know where you want to go and you're going to get there. And being real about it. Everybody comes in with some sort of a limitation to the way that they think that they're allowed to live their lives. By the time you're done, you will understand that those limitations were figments of your imagination, and you will have the proof and the progress to continue moving forward with the rest of your life. For example. That doesn't mean we will take you all the way to the Olympics. Right? Now, here's how the reload process works. Phase 1. Name it. Phase 2. Name it. Phase 3. Name it. Got it? Can I erase this and start doing this? You guys have any questions so far? Is this valuable for you guys so far?
Yeah, definitely.
I want to make sure I'm on the right track for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, Sean, so what do you guys call it? Like your process?
We called it the VAST process, Value Access Systems Training. First, we give your coaches value. Then we give them access to their value, meaning that we make them better coaches. Then we provide access to their value by teaching them how to sell it to people. Then we give them systems around marketing and training other people. And then the training is we actually train you to do all of those things. But it needs to improve. It's not the best lexicon. I guess that's the right word. Might be the wrong word, but so phase 1. Forget about naming it. You guys can do this on your own. That's not important. What is the best case scenario of success in phase 1? Let's pretend, for example, phase 1 for you guys is just the consult, the assessment. Right? So, what?
Someone believes that what we're doing is going to work.
Perfect. So by the end of phase 1, you believe this will work.
I usually just call it, they got buy-in. We're looking for buy-in.
But it's got to be about them, right? So it's believe in your potential. Got it? Okay. Now, what must be true for this to occur? What's the success criteria? How do we know that they finished phase 1?
Markers that I usually look for after I know an initial evaluation's gone well is I'll usually follow up with someone, they'll actually respond to me, or they'll follow up themselves. They refer somebody on that day, which is what we call like a home run.
Mm-hmm.
They come in, their wife's in the next week. They do any part of the prescription or the program that we've given them and giving us some feedback on it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what you're describing here are all ways that you're able to measure if this worked or not. If I'm thinking about coming to you as a patient, I want to know how I'm going to know if this worked or not. And you guys, I want to be clear, I know you guys are good. And I know you guys can get patients off of your own skill and your own acumen. What we're trying to do here is create a consistent dialogue so that everybody in the world knows what you guys do, so that everybody in the world says, how did you do that? How did you do that wrinkle? Right? There's a million physical therapists trying to teach people how to do what they do. What's your wrinkle? Got it? So, by the end of phase 1, you believe in your potential. What needs to happen for me to be able to believe in my potential in the first visit?
A painful movement is no longer painful by the end of the day.
Okay, wait, hold on. Reduction in pain. I wouldn't overpromise because you want to be able to show somebody, look, that was a 10, now it's a 6. That's a good sign.
Right, sorry, not pain-free, but yeah, reduction in pain, increase in range of motion, or increase in strength. Specifically at
Okay.
or
Increase in strength?
yeah, or mobility.
Okay. Anything else?
Attempt something this is the big one. Like all of that gives them the confidence
Yep.
to attempt something that they didn't think they could do.
That's huge, right? So,
That's the lead up to it.
but that's this. By the end of phase 1, you will be able to do something you didn't think you could do. You see how that's different?
Yeah. It's more tangible.
Yeah. And how does it change your process? What do you have to know?
You have to know what yeah. Craig would love this.
Well, so now think about it this way, right? You're giving your TED Talk. The first question that we ask every patient when they come in is, please give us a list of 10 things that you do not believe that you can do. And our vision is that by the end of that first visit, they will be doing those things. Here's how. Right?
Yeah, it's a very subtle but important change in what, because everything you're describing is like, when you ask us initially, we're going to give you a very generic answer like, oh, what do you guys do? We help people do stuff, whatever. But the wrinkle in this is people always ask, oh, what's bothering you, what hurts, what can't you do? But it's very different to ask something, give me 10 things you don't believe you can do. It's a subtle but very important shift. Because it gets to not like what's painful, it's what don't you think you can do?
Because no one cares about the pain.
Yeah.
Right? How many people came to you guys in your clinic and said, I just started getting shoulder pain an hour ago, so I called and made an appointment?
Yeah, that's one of the things I always talk to the group about is people don't ask for help when they have pain. They ask for help when they have pain and it prevents them from doing the stuff they love, or it stops them from being who they believe they are. Like I'm an athlete, so I should be able to do this. When I can't do that anymore, I start freaking out and I say I need help.
100%. That's exactly right. So this is very different, right? Now your process for bringing them in needs to change. Because now it's like, please write down on your intake form 10 things that you think you should be able to do today that you can't. Now, in order for this to be true, they're going to need a reduction in pain. They're going to need to have their strength improved. They're going to need to see their range of motion improve, right? They're going to need to understand their condition, right? They should need to be able to explain it to you and their friends. Also, do you think you're more likely or less likely to get a patient referral if they can leave explaining to you exactly what's been going on and exactly why everybody else missed it?
Yeah. So that reminds us you ever heard of Kieran O'Sullivan? It's like there's a test, it's the teach-back test. At the end of every,
Yep.
you know about this.
Yeah. But so now they go home and they're like, honey, you'll never believe it. This is what was going on with me. You see, every other doctor was asking me to do this. They asked me to do this, and there were more than one muscle involved. Whatever. Right? But they understand because we are less afraid of things that we understand, which is going to bring down our pain.
Yeah. It's big.
Got that? Now, what is the worst case scenario if this does not occur?
The worst case scenario?
I don't need you guys to evaluate me. Like, I know you're good. I'll just pay for 12 visits up front. I'm good. Let's just start going right away. The reason we don't do that is because we're concerned that if we don't we might end up
So we have to set expectations. We have to...
What's
It shows people that they're actually getting better, right? So it's the dissonance you're talking about earlier about if people don't actually know if they're getting better, they're just, they like their therapist. This gives them the measurable outcomes.
so what's the worst case if that doesn't happen?
They
think we're like everyone else.
Well, they start doing it, it doesn't work, and then they're like, oh yeah, those guys are the same as everybody else.
Is that bad for them or for you?
Both.
What's bad for them? They don't care about what's bad for you.
Well, they ultimately aren't going to get what they want because they're not going to approach it with their side of the agreement is to get coached and follow along and do the stuff.
Yes.
If they don't, then they're going to, they're not going to get better.
So a really good thing to put here as the problem, like what's the downside, is the thing that they complain to you has continuously happened to them. Right? How many of your patients come in and they're like, I've started like 7 times? right? I've tried 7 different physical therapists and every time it fails. So the worst case scenario of not knowing this thing is if you don't understand what's wrong with you, if you don't understand that we know how to improve it, you're going to end up continuously stutter starting and never getting the results that you want, right? So continuous,
Continue the loop or cycle.
yep. Okay, now read phase 1, right? So in phase 1 at Reload Physical Therapy, we want to make sure
You do something you didn't think you could do.
Yeah, you do something you didn't think you could do. You have a reduction in pain. You feel stronger. You feel you're able to move.
Okay, so break them up. By the end of phase 1 at Reload Physical Therapy, we want you to be able to do something that you didn't believe you could do before you came in. In order for that to be true, we know that you're going to need to see a reduction in your pain the same day, an increase in your strength the same day, an increase in your range of motion the same day. And you're most definitely going to have to understand what it is that's causing your symptoms. We also know that if this doesn't happen, you are going to end up with the continued stutter-start negative loop that you've been going through in all the other physical therapy places that you visited. And so for us, this is a non-negotiable. This has to happen for every patient who walks through the door. And if you're asking yourself, how can you assure that I'm going to have less pain, more mobility, more strength, and comprehension in the same day? Understand that our entire business depends on you doing that. Because we won't move you to phase 2 until you do. Now, when I'm coming in off the street, I'm like, shit, same day reduction in pain, same day increase in strength, same day increase in range of motion. I'm going to understand what's going on, do something I couldn't do before, and the downside of that is I just keep doing what I've been doing. Yeah, I'm in. You guys see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so now when you're looking to hire a physical therapist, tell me about instances in which you might have rushed the evaluation process and what you learned from it.
In hiring or bringing in
You would bring in, you're hiring. Tell me about it. Like, this is a question you can now ask, right? Because this is now a core tenet of what you guys do. Tell me about a time when you rushed through an assessment process, because listen, we all have, and I'm not judging you for it. I'm just curious what you learned. Now, if someone comes in and they're like, I'm not big on a long, comprehensive assessment because I find that we're going to do a better job helping the patient by working with them and just kind of evolving as we go. You can diagnose, do I need to break this person's beliefs? Is this somebody I want on the team? Based on the fact that there is no negotiating, you're going to do this. Follow? Any questions about phase 1 for you guys? Does this feel like yours?
Yeah.
Good, because I want to be clear, we're not building mine, we're building yours. Okay? You're welcome.
helps that you notice that.
Huh?
Helps that you notice that.
Yeah. Okay, phase 2. What's the best case scenario of the second phase of care that they're in with you? They've finished their evaluation, they know they're going to get better. Picture now you're looking at visits like 2 through 8. For context.
They start doing things that are checking off that list of the 10 things that they didn't think they could do.
So what about if they're able, they notice during phase 2, completion in phase 2 is that our patients start to recognize that they're doing more things that they didn't think that they could do outside of the clinic. Make sense?
Yeah.
And again, you'll rewrite this. Good. Okay. What must be true for this to happen?
Exercise is progressing. Or compliance with exercise in the first place.
It's great. So what does their compliance need to be? Can I be 50% compliant?
Sometimes.
Do I have to be 100% compliant?
No.
Okay, so how compliant do I need to be?
But I think those are two barriers I like, 50 and 100.
Well, pick a number between them.
About 70?
Okay, so what I would recommend here is whatever percent compliance you want from them, you tell them that you need 20% higher. If your goal is 100, you're probably going to hit 80, right? So let's say that you want them 70% compliant. We need 80%, 85% compliance. Okay, what else?
So measurable progress in, so let's say we're taking RMs, someone's 10 RM goes up or whatever.
Okay. All right, you'll understand what data means. You wouldn't say that to a patient. What else?
I think the floor gets better. So waking up out of bed or whenever, without doing any kind of movement, you should feel better.
Okay, so subjectively easier day to day.
I was thinking more so like we have a couple of movement screens that we do, and then we would test afterwards. But you coming in, I can test movement screens without any intervention, and it should look better than it did first phase. Without any movement.
Is that different than this?
No, it's the same.
Okay, 'cause I understand what you're saying. One of the things I used to do in clinic was we're going to treat, we're going to measure, we're going to treat, we're going to remeasure. You're going to go home. When you come back in next time, we're going to measure before we treat.
Yeah.
And it needs to be between where you came in last time, where you left last time. Yeah. So I think that fits into this.
Correct.
What else?
Improve confidence that they will get better.
How can you measure that their confidence is improved?
One thing we have that we don't use is a questionnaire about confidence, whether they'll get better or not.
Why don't you use it?
We try to minimize this paperwork.
You could do that very simply on like every time they come in for a visit.
Just check in.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Like it doesn't have to be comprehensive. 1 to 10, and how confident this is going to work.
Yeah, that's basically what the question is. It's like the yellow flag questionnaire.
Okay, so increase or sustain confidence, because if they're already at a 10,
Right. Yeah. Right.
give me one more. How about they start asking pertinent questions about their next progression, which obviate that they understand what we're doing,
Right. Another sign of comprehension.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, like I'm giving you guys stand-ins. You can feel I have no ego tied to what you end up doing here. I'm not gonna see this and be like, those motherfuckers came out and didn't even do it. No.
Unprompted.
Well, no, it would be prompted because you say, so what questions do you have? And if they're still asking like, so,
This is still gonna hurt.
right. But if they're asking like, hey, so I'm noticing that I'm able to squat without weight, without pain. At what point do we feel like it's reasonable to start adding weight back in? You're like, that's a great question before you were worried you were ever gonna be able to squat again. So.
Should run a jog.
Who's that?
Another one of someone on the team.
Got it. Okay, last thing. What is the worst case scenario if this doesn't happen? They go through this, and then they're like, 60% compliant, and it's not getting better, and they're like, I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say. You just said you end up back in the negative loop.
Has to be worse.
Worse than that. You think this doesn't work?
Which means what?
You wasted all this time.
Well,
And?
Well, you're also going to throw out like exercise that could solve my issue. Like it's clear, like exercise isn't the answer. There's something
Right,
else.
there you go. So what's happening here, right? Here is they're understanding, if I get through this, I'm gonna get better. Here is I started doing the things, started getting better, didn't finish, didn't get better. The story they're going to start telling themselves is that nothing is going to work for me.
That they lose hope.
See how that works?
Yeah, this is actually, now that you're kind of whiteboarding all this out, that's a huge, like we have to be able to identify when, so a lot of times we're good at this, and if we fall short here, it's a big issue.
Well, and part of that is that the patient doesn't know.
Right.
So what you need to be able to tell them before they sign on is like, look, we'll take you as a patient, but we have rules. We know that this is going to be a 3-step process. We've been doing this a long time with a lot of people, and I would love to take you through the 3-step process so you can understand what it's going to look like, because if you're not prepared to jump on board for all 3 phases, this is not a fit.
Right. Yeah,
Right.
Rachel's been trying to get me to do this for a while, but I wasn't quite understanding it to this degree. She's just kind of saying like, yeah, like these people should be bought into what you're doing, and you know, you have to put them through this orientation process, otherwise they shouldn't be working with you guys. And she's like, yeah, I know it's probably gonna be tough for your pockets, but you should do this, blah blah blah. And I was like, yeah, it's kind of tough, but then now that I'm looking at it this way, it's better for everybody.
Well, now think about how this becomes content for you guys.
Yeah. And this is very clear messaging that we're missing before.
Right. If you guys put out a podcast talking about your phases, you can talk about patients without using their names who are in this phase and the breakthroughs that they had today. Patients who are in this phase and the breakthroughs that they had today, and the patients who fell off and what your concerns are for them. Right?
Yeah.
And now when somebody goes to book an appointment for you guys, I don't know if you have a podcast or not, but if somebody books an appointment for you guys, you should. It's a really easy thing to do, and it doesn't matter if anybody listens. Before a patient comes in to visit, you're selling them the idea. Check out this podcast. It's just like you. And they're like, oh, cool. They listen to it. You're like, hey, you know what? I want to send you another one on our phases since you liked that last one. And now they're coming like, oh, yeah, I already know that. It's so great. I can't wait. So, okay. Phase 3. What happens in phase 3?
This is assuming there's 4 phases.
Or 3.
They no longer have the original issue, but now they've adopted a training lifestyle.
So success here is
Nice. Hey, you should do this for a living.
thanks.
She's learned about my dyslexia.
One of my mentors, you know, Jesse Itzler is? Yeah. So he talks about the idea that his first career was a rapper, like his first real career. His goal was to get a record deal. He got the record deal, and then to make a long story short, couldn't hack it as a rapper. And when he got out, he's like, well, what's on my resume? Kiddie pool attendant and rapper. Not exactly the most hireable person in the world. So the idea is set the goal after the goal, right? So many guys in the NBA have a great rookie year and you never hear from them again. Or they get drafted really high and then they tank. It's like the goal of their life was to get drafted and then they never thought about the next goal. So you don't want your patients to fall into a place where they set a goal and it's like, I'm pain free, I'm ready to live my life. And you're like, was that really the goal? Was that really the goal? If we go back to day one, so now, what must be true for that to happen? I mean, this is obvious.
Not even, well, honestly, some people were like resigned to just, they still have pain, but they're just cool with it. Like a lot of people have chronic pain who.
Well, so then we got to talk about what pain is.
Yeah.
Right. We would call pain a negative emotion associated with irritation.
When you say like symptoms.
So what you're describing to me is someone who still has irritation but doesn't care.
Yeah.
I'm talking about.
Yeah. Got it. Yeah.
But you don't want to tell people like you're gonna have no emotion around your pain. They're like, it's not in my head.
No. I just it's semantics. But
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I gotcha.
What else?
Well, I mean, there's, I guess, they would still be 85% compliant.
85% plus, yeah.
Okay. Are they back to all their activities?
Yeah, hopefully.
And more.
Right. Back to full activity. Without fear.
And pursuing new activities. Or, yeah, well, in general, yeah.
There's one more thing I think is really important here. And that is they understand the difference between a setback and a re-injury.
Yes, yeah, flare-ups are, yeah, that's so important. That's not something you can just tell somebody, they have to go through.
Yep. One of the things that we like to tell people is oftentimes the difference between a setback and an injury is a coach. Everyone's going to have setbacks. So how do you know if you just did major damage or if this was supposed to happen?
Yeah, you need someone to interpret it for you.
Correct. So they have a relationship with you, right? What's the worst case scenario if they don't complete phase 3?
Because they've already gotten surgery.
Well, they've gotten through 1 and 2, and now they're just like, yeah, look, I mean, look, I'm feeling kind of pain-free. I'm feeling pain-free. I'm not back to everything I was doing, and I still have a little bit of fear around it, but I'm like, this is expensive, and I kind of want to just stop and do the rest on my own. I feel like I can. What's the worst case scenario?
They were referred back.
Right? So look, the worst case scenario here, the thing I'm afraid of is you've been doing nothing for a long time. We got you back to doing some things. You're getting excited about it. You didn't finish this, but you want to push the envelope faster than we would push it with and for you. Now, instead of hurting yourself tying your shoe, you're going to hurt yourself deadlifting 350 pounds. Which injury do you think is going to be more severe? I want to avoid this happening for you. The only way we know that is if we've been with you as you've adopted new lifestyle, gone after new goals, and reported back that you did this without fear, and you were able to do the next thing. Follow?
Yeah.
This could be the reload process.
Amazing. Can you stand closer to it?
Oh, you want me in it?
Oh yeah, because, yeah.
Get in front of it like I'm doing a flex for my Ferrari.
I gotta give credit where credit's due.
I appreciate it. Got it?
Yeah.
Can I erase it?